as a philosopher, I was shocked to see, wow, these are the kinds of arguments that honors professors are giving. This should be professors who know the best arguments and know how to persuade people, and instead they immediately resort to insults.
Good morning. Hello, Robert Kiyosaki of the Rich Dad Radio Show. I'm broadcasting from Old Town Scottsdale, Arizona. And we have a very special program. I think all our programs are. Today we're talking about what's going on in our universities. Our universities teaching communism in our schools today. And let me say why is because some of you are familiar with it. But for about the last year, I've personally been embroiled with Arizona State University, a bunch of professors, actually 37 of them. Myself, Dennis Prager, and my cardiac surgeon, Dr. Radha Gopalan, put on an event on February 8th on Arizona State's college, university. It was called Health, Wealth, and Happiness, and 37 professors attacked, tried to shut us down. They said something like, I could say what I wanted to say as long as they approved of what I said, or something stupid like this. But what I'm concerned about is, I'll give you a little my background for those familiar with it. Back in 1965, I got a congressional appointment to Naval Academy and U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. I took the Merchant Marine Academy, went to military school, so I'm not woke. I'm not a snowflake. I don't get triggered very often, but this one has triggered me. So the first day at the academy, they start screaming at you and calling you every name of the book, and it's like, geez, it's the best you can do. And today, these little snowflakes would melt. I mean, they're such weak little wimpy kids today, some of them. I can't believe it. But anyway, my economics teacher had us read the Communist Manifesto. And he was a West Point graduate, flew B-17s in World War II, and he was a tough SOB, if you know what I mean. But he also graduated from Harvard. He was a PhD and very smart, very much articulate, strong, gentle man, but a tough guy. And so he had us read the Communist Manifesto. He says, because he said to our class, I'm only 18 years old because it's 1965, and he says, you must know your enemy. And we didn't, and we were kids. It was all male school, military school. And we're sitting there in our blues and all this stuff. And he goes, so I had us study the Communist Manifesto, and it said that communism would invade America in 2 stages. So the book Manifesto, Marx's Communist Manifesto, was in 1848. So this is 1965, and he's saying communism has invaded America. That was really strange because it was there was nobody knew the truth of the facts. So he had us read the book, and he said, and some communism would invade America in 2 stages. One would be through our academic system, and 2 would be through the media. So in 1930, Columbia University's Teachers College invited Marxist instructors to come from Germany to teach American teachers communism. That's Columbia University. And then, so that was in 1930. In 1965, I'm sitting in New York. And I think it was 1966 or 67, Columbia University was one of the first colleges that erupted in revolt. There were anti-war demonstrators across Columbia, and it spread. There was Kent State, and there was 4 dead in Ohio at Kent State University. The students went on protest, exactly as Marx's 1848 book wrote about. Communism was infecting America via higher education. So I'm watching this, and then Berkeley broke out, and all those hippie commie pinkos at Woodstock, they're selling love and all this stuff. And I'm going, what the heck's going on in our country? And I went back to my, I kept talking to my professor, and he says, it's happening. Communism has invaded America via academics. And stage 2 occurred when my friend President Donald Trump got taken down during a rigged election. And as Stalin said, it's not who votes that counts, it's who counts the votes. And so we were warned all these years. But of course, we can't know the truth simply because They control academics. The Marxists control, not only they control academics, they control the money. They're non-elected bureaucrats. The budget for the educational system is in the billions of dollars. So when an individual like me, a little rich dad company here in Arizona, speaks out, we get crushed because the Marxists, the non-elected bureaucrats called college professors, have the money and the unions and all that. And my poor dad was very much a Marxist. He didn't know it. He's a good man. He just thought doing the right things. He didn't know he was a Marxist. He belonged to the teachers union. I can't believe that. And Marx says, workers of the world unite. So when I was a kid, my dad, poor dad, got really upset with me when I went to work for Rich Dad because Rich Dad was being picketed and struck against. So I went to help out Rich Dad, all of this. My poor dad went nuts. He says, you're a scab. You're a scab. You broke the union lines. So my father, poor dad, became the head of Hawaii State Teachers Association, biggest labor union in Hawaii, Marxist. Forbes calls Hawaii the People's Republic of Hawaii. So I'm going, my God, I'm growing up in this insanity. So on February 8th of this year, we do health, wealth, happiness, nice, happy. I do wealth. Dr. Gopalan does health. Dr. Gopalan is a doctor of acupuncture and cardiac surgery. The guy knows what he's talking about. And then there's Dennis Prager, who is as much of a free market educational conservative as you get. And we got attacked. February 8th, these Marxist professors came after us. That was February 8th. This was being done in July, and they're still coming after us. I can't believe how communist our schools have become. I know that sounds radical, but most school teachers are communists. They just don't know it. Another thing that Marx said was the graduate income tax was essential for the spread of communism. Income tax. America was founded as a tax-free nation. It's called 1773, Boston Tea Party. Check out the facts. So today I have two brave souls that are risking their life and limb. There's Ann Atkinson and Dr. Owen Anderson. They stood up to these 37 woke professors. It's been 6 months or 7 months now, and they're still attacking. So Ann, give us a quick, 2-minute overview. What's happened since the February 8th event, 2023?
Yes, Robert, thank you for having us on. This is truly a global story. So as a result of the teachers protesting and condemning this event, because the teachers at the Honors College, a supermajority, did not like the ideas of our speakers, the entire center that hosted the event, the T.W. Lewis Center for Personal Development, has been dismantled. I, as the former executive director of the center, have been fired, and the events operations manager at the venue that hosted the event, ASU Gamage Auditorium, has also been fired. There's been significant consequences to those who dared to explore ideas deemed unsafe by the faculty majority.
But health, wealth, and happiness, that's threatening to them. Anyway, and T.W. Lewis is the Honors College. That's a year ago, that summer, I taught entrepreneurship at the Barrett's Honors Program. And they were the honors kids. They're bright, smart, great young men and women. It's fantastic. I brought my team of entrepreneurs in there. We taught oil, we taught tax, we taught debt, we taught the things entrepreneurs should know. So that was a year ago, last summer. February 8th, we put it on for Gamage, at the Arizona State, for the public to hear it. They attacked. And by the way, Arizona State is the largest university in America. Is that correct?
Yes.
How big is it? And when you look at university systems in America, how big is Arizona
Over 100,000 students and growing into online, into K-12. So it will grow exponentially in years to come.
Now, the good thing about any upheaval, any event where these Marxists showed their ugly heads like a pimple, There's other people who speak out against him also. And we have Dr. Owen Anderson, a man I have tremendous respect for. And he had the temerity and the guts, or as my Mexican friends would say, the cojones, to stand up against his own fellow teachers. So, Dr. Anderson, I commend you, and thank you for standing up.
Well, thanks for having me on, and it's been really an education for me to see how these professors have behaved themselves. And as a philosopher, I mean, I'm a professor, but I am very rare, I think, in not having the Marxist influence you mentioned. And although I'm a professor, I'm speaking here in my own opinions, not representing ASU. And I think that as a philosopher, I was shocked to see, wow, these are the kinds of arguments that honors professors are giving. This should be professors who know the best arguments and know how to persuade people. And instead, they immediately resort to insults and they immediately resort to calling people names. And I've been asking them, hey, I'll debate you in public. I'll debate all of you at once if you want. Let's have an actual debate about these issues. And I haven't got any takers. And so what stands out to me is that when you say that there's this Marxist influence, they'll say, no, there isn't. I'm not a Marxist. It shows they don't know themselves, which you said, and they don't know the intellectual history and how influential Marx has been.
Correct.
And so when you look at what they study, they teach everything exactly the way Marx would want them to teach it. And so if they don't realize that they're doing that, that should come up in their evaluations to say, you don't even realize the philosophy that shaped your whole thinking.
And then also, by the way, when I was at Gamage, which was February 8th, I went on stage because I knew they were attacking. I wore my flight jacket from the U.S. Marine Corps, and it held up the Communist Manifesto. I said to all the teachers, you guys should read this book. Know yourself, read this book. And Dr. Anderson, you're also philosophy, but what is your specialty? And is it religion or God or things like
my
this?
specialty is philosophy of religion. But what that means is we question everything, right, as a philosopher. So when someone says to me, well, you can't question this, everything in my professional and personal life says, well, wait a minute, that's exactly what I do for a living. I question things.
So what do you teach students? I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah, well, my classes are largely focused on learning how to critically think. And so we look at other philosophers, what they've taught through the ages, and then we evaluate their arguments. And so I want my students to leave not believing what I believe. I want them to leave the class knowing how to form an argument and how to evaluate arguments about what I think are the most important questions we can ask.
Thank you. And that's what Ann Atkinson invited me to speak at Barrett's Honors College to these honors students. We just asked, we played the cash flow game. We taught them capitalism. My tax guy's up there telling them how we legally don't pay any taxes. And, we had my debt guy, Kenny McElroy, talking about how we use 100% debt financing. And it was just an open discussion. It was a great program, right, Ann, for these young
Yes,
students?
you provided a real education on entrepreneurship and investing to the Barrett Honors students. And it's important for your audience to know you are known globally, yet you have come to Barrett, the Honors College, the Lewis Center, 7 different occasions. You've never been paid a dime to do so. You've come because you believe in these students. You've poured your teaching into these students. But yet the professors at ASU, there were a couple more that wound up signing that petition. So there were actually 39 of the 47 Barrett faculty members petitioned you as a purveyor of hate. And the faculty, the leadership of the event venue, ASU Gamage, and in a meeting with the deans at my honors college, this was accused of being a white supremacy event. There were comparisons made to the KKK, and your audience should know Robert is Japanese American. Dr. Radha Gopalan was raised in Sri Lanka. Dennis Prager is a religious Jew, yet the KKK comparisons came from those multiple parties.
Amen, amen, amen. So we're here to talk about the war going on in our universities and colleges right now. And exactly as my economics professor taught me years and years ago, Marxism invaded America in 1930. And it spread across the country. So when I came back from Vietnam, I got spit on, hit with eggs, called a killer and all this. I said, what happened to my country? We'll be right back going on what's going on in our school system and how we can fight back. We'll be right back.
Today's show is sponsored by Gold Alliance. If you're concerned about high inflation, looming recession, a troubled banking system, or out-of-control spending in Washington, this is an important message to hear. Because the fact is, during every major crisis in U.S. history, many of those who failed to prepare watch their savings, investments, or retirement funds go down, while many with the foresight to own gold helped preserve their purchasing power. Gold even made some folks richer. Now we're facing several major crises at once, and experts say we may soon face even more economic trouble. So please don't wait. Learn the simple way you can diversify with gold and put yourself on the road to financial peace of mind, even in uncertain times. The new free 2023 Gold Guide from our friends at Gold Alliance can show you how. Just visit www.freegoldguide.com/Robert or call 1-800-473-4585. Republican Governor and conservative commentator Mike Huckabee says Gold Alliance is the only gold provider he recommends to his friends and family. Find out why and visit freegoldguide.com/Robert or call now at 1-800-473-4585.
Feeling powerless over current events and your financial future? Financial freedom is your freedom. Robert Kiyosaki is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Over 40 million people have taken Robert's advice. Now it's your turn. Attend Robert's free virtual wealth building event. Claim your free access now at richdadfree.com. Don't wait, access is limited. Go to richdadfree.com. That's richdadfree.com.
Welcome back. This is Robert Kiyosaki, the good news and bad news about money. Today we're talking about how Marxism has infiltrated our academic system. Now at Arizona State University, the largest university in America, has gone woke, has gone totally Marxist. So we got attacked February 8th in 2023, and the attack continues on. Those teachers do not give up. So we have our guest today is Dr. Owen Anderson. He's one of the 37, one of the people that stood up to the 39. Their numbers are increasing. You know, like these communists are like dinosaurs. They keep having eggs and they keep hatching. So, and we have Ann Atkinson, who lost her job for bringing us in. So, Ann, what's the final stage? It's been 6 months since that event at Gamage on our Arizona State University's campus. Are the teachers, are those professors still at it?
Yes, the professors have doubled down on their condemnation of the program, Health, Wealth, and Happiness, our speakers, the Lewis Center, which has been dismantled, me, who has been fired, the events director who's been fired. The faculty have doubled down. And over the last several months, I've taken my concerns about this experience all the way up through normal channels at ASU, all the way to the president of the university. And we have a very pro-free speech president. ASU is green light rated in free speech by fire. They're supposed to be better than this. Yet ASU is standing firmly by the deans of my college, censoring our program, telling me what you were and were not allowed to say, and threatening consequences if you said things that were deemed political, which I don't know what that means. ASU has stood by these people for suppressing speech. So this has become a national story. We've had op-eds in the Wall Street Journal, in the National Review. We've been on Fox Business. People are very concerned about the suppression of free speech at the largest university in the country that is supposed to be a leader with its policies about free speech.
Right. I have tremendous respect for Michael Crow. I met him years and years ago. He's a very good man. But I really can't believe they don't have the cojones to stand up and say this is enough, because it's been 6 months. They're still fighting. Dr. Anderson, what do you have to say about what's happened since the 6 months?
Well, I think what comes out is the quality of thought of these professors is on public display. And so parents can say to themselves, they're very proud of their child who's an honors student and going on to honors college. They can say, is this the kind of example I want from an honors professor, that they have such hate-filled arguments, that they immediately call names, that so far they haven't been able to explain what is it that you or Dennis are saying that's false. They simply dismiss you as a white nationalist bigot. So that's all on display for us there. There's a saying, when someone tells you who they are, believe them.
They should get a refund on their college degrees, these professors, because Dr. Gopalan is Sri Lankan. He's obviously not white. I'm obviously not white. And Dennis Prager is a Jew. I mean, and he talks about being a Jew all the time. But these professors still attack, calling us white nationalists, white supremacists. Anyway, has anything have it come after you personally, Dr.
Well,
Anderson?
I mean, just in terms of insults and putting me down and dismissing me. When this first happened, the three of us who wrote a letter against their letter, a meme was made of us making fun of us as white men. And so stuff like that, just because we are white men. But can you imagine if it was reversed, if we'd sunk to that level and made fun of somebody in that way? So it still goes on like that. I've got people on Twitter attacking me, and personally, I don't mind that because I think it shows the public this is the quality of thought you're dealing with.
Well, I give you tremendous courage for standing up, because everybody, like as Jordan Peterson says, when you have something to say, silence is a crime.
Well, that's the thing. As a philosopher, if I had just sat on the sidelines while this was happening, I would have to hand in my philosopher card. Right? We're supposed to say, no, we're going to question everything. That's what we teach our students to do. And that used to be, so to speak, the liberal approach, right? Liberal college students would say, I'm going to question everything. Now, I don't think that means that you end up not knowing anything. And that's where I'm not a liberal. I think you can question everything, and it turns out you can know a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, Rich, that way I always say all coins have three sides, heads, tails, and the edge. Look at both sides. In your experience as a philosopher, what did we hit in these 30 or 39 woke professors? What cattle prod did we hit on them?
Well, I think that they're personally invested. It's come out from students that are using class time for their personal opinions. And I think that really the big picture with Marx down to the present is this: the abandonment of reason. And so Marx put the category of power in the front. And that's where these are Marxists, and they don't realize it because they think all in terms of power. And so you're a white nationalist, even though you're Japanese American, because you're supporting the racist structure of America. They don't look at anything about what you say, and they don't evaluate it as true or false. Has capitalism brought more people out of poverty than any other economic system? It doesn't matter. It's just a power struggle. And so they view themselves as the minority, whether it's their sexual identity or what it is, and in a power struggle against people like you. And they don't care about reason. They don't care about sound arguments. They'll just attack you.
Right. It's the victim's mentality.
That's the power part of it or oppressed, right? If you're a Marxist, you want to be the oppressed person.
Well, it's you white guys that are oppressing me. You really upset me, man.
Yeah, we keep buying your books, right, and oppressing you.
Yeah. I can't believe how bad. Like I said, when in 1965, when I read the Communist Manifesto, I went, "Oh my God, my family's Marxist. They're good people."
That's how it gets people, because usually these are persons who don't have a religious morality, and so they have this urge to be moral. And so Marxism appeals to that, and it says, look, you can help other people with your life, and that's very attractive.
But they also say, like the Marxists said, the abolition of private property and the destruction of religion and a family. And that's what these guys stand up for. So my poor dad, he was a very good man, honest man, but he didn't read Marx. And that's why at Arizona State, when I was in Gamage, February 8th, I hold up the Communist Manifesto. I said, you should read this book and find out who thou art.
And the Lewis Center existed. It was a partially donor-funded center to teach topics including personal responsibility, hard work, community service, faith, family, civic duty, principles that are opposed to what we're describing here on this conversation. So the very idea of the Lewis Center and the very idea of health, wealth, and happiness could be perceived as a threat to what these people are teaching. And that's why the professors went on a national condemnation campaign. These were not the students. These were professors pleading for solidarity from PhDs and PhD candidates nationwide to stand with them to condemn this program. That's why the professors went into their classroom where they teach freshmen a mandatory honors class. That's what all of these professors teach, is a mandatory honors class. And they use their classroom teaching time to condemn the program and tell these students that supporting our talk, our health, wealth, and happiness talk, is dangerous. So they instilled an environment of fear because they don't like the ideas that we were there to discuss.
Yeah, and being a military school graduate, they don't know this, that Marxists have murdered more people in history than any group. Millions and millions. That was Mao, Stalin, Hitler. They murdered more people in history, and those are the guys teaching our kids right now. And then, this question I was going to ask you: what did you find in the professors' libraries? What kind of books?
I'll start with that. So our dean who censored our marketing wrote a book called The Invention of Womanhood. This is the new dean at Barrett the Honors College. Fine. One of the leading faculty members at Barrett studies, practices, and teaches witchcraft. And his books on witchcraft have their own section of a glass display case in the dean's office. Others that led this campaign studied gender theory, bioethics, settler colonialism, and gun culture. And my view, Robert, is that that's fine. They're welcome to explore these topics, to teach them. No one is arguing that those ideas don't have a place in the university. I'm arguing that we have a place in the university also to explore these values of personal responsibility, personal finance, health, wealth, and happiness without facing retribution from a supermajority of the faculty and the deans, all of which have been supported firmly by ASU administration. So we're arguing just to have an equal right here.
And a key word I want to point out, though, from what Ann just said, is practicing witchcraft. So that's stepping over the line from you're teaching about a religion to you're encouraging students to teach it as a way of promoting feminism or something, or to practice it, as a way of promoting feminism. So that's an important line in religious studies you don't cross. I don't go into my classes and teach the students, hey, let's all pray the Lord's Prayer right now, because I'm there to teach about religion, not to practice religion.
So final words, Ann, what would you say to parents right now? What would you advise parents with kids?
Well, I am still optimistic about the role of higher education today. I'm deeply, deeply discouraged. Parents, you have to pay attention. Who will be teaching your students? When you look at students enrolling in classes at the university, look at what these faculty members are teaching. Students, parents, we need to stand up for free speech for all, not just for those who agree with the prevailing orthodoxy on campus. And it might come with consequences. Like me, you might lose your job. Like the events operations manager at the venue, you might lose your job. But there is nothing more important to protect in our country than our right for all to have the right to free speech.
Yes. So Dr. Anderson, what would you advise parents right now?
Well, very similar. Know what the teachers are doing. Know that they're bringing their personal opinions into classes, and they can email the deans, and they should, and say, "Hey, we don't believe this is acceptable, and if you continue this behavior, we won't send them there. We'll send them somewhere else." We have a very large competitor in the Valley, Grant County University, which doesn't have these problems and is very favorable to the kinds of values Ann just mentioned. And I know that ASU doesn't want to lose students to their competitor. So ASU needs to get its act together and defend free speech on campus. And also here, free speech does not protect libel and slander. And what they did against you and Dennis was libel and slander. And they'll say, well, we're just expressing our opinions. The dean said, well, our faculty are just expressing their opinions. Well, legally, that's not covered as free speech. That's like yelling fire in a crowded movie theater.
Right. That's kind of what Lincoln said, with malice towards none.
Yeah. So if they want to give an argument and defend their position, hey, I think you'd probably sponsor a public debate, wouldn't you? Get us a place. Of course. And they can be 39 on one side and me on the other side. And I want to hear their arguments. Maybe we'll give them 5 minutes at first to get their insults out. I'll let all of them call me whatever they want for 5 minutes. And then we'll get down to the business of evaluating their arguments.
So how would a parent approach you as a professor? Is there anything they could say to you personally?
They can email me. My ASU email is on our webpage. So just, look me up on ASU and send me an email. And they can ask me questions. I'm often involved in high school education, talking to parents and high schoolers about their options. And they're disturbed to see that ASU's defending insults as free speech.
Correct. And Ann, any comments, final
I would
comments?
encourage your listeners, Google Dr. Owen Anderson Substack. Dr. Anderson has been writing about what's happening. This isn't just at ASU. Parents need to be aware of what happens and how it happens. So I would encourage people, start by gaining an education about what actually goes on in our schools so we can all be equipped to respond.
So thank you very much. We're very serious problems, as my economics teacher taught me in 1965. If you read the Communist Manifesto, Marx said communism would invade America in 2 stages. Stage 1 was 1930, when Columbia University's Teachers College invited communists from Germany to teach professors. And riots broke out all across the country. I remember landing in Norton Air Force Base, returning from Vietnam with my troop of men, getting spit on, hit with eggs, calling killers and all this stuff. And America has gone woke, it's gone Marxist, our school system. So thank you all. I'll be right back with a final word. So thank you, Dr. Anderson. Thank you, Ann.
Robert recently tweeted that we're in the biggest bubble in world history, and may God have mercy on us all. After 2 of the largest U.S. banks collapsed in March, many believe a widespread banking crisis is coming. For years, Robert warned us to invest in real assets like gold, silver, and Bitcoin for protection against financial storms like the one we're experiencing. Today, brilliant investors are adding to his list by investing in the $1.2 trillion diamond market with the world's first and only regulator-approved diamond commodity. Each diamond standard coin contains a mathematically identical value of ethically sourced diamonds with a unique electronic signature, so it can be traded instantly. Forbes says that the diamond standard coin inherits the best features of gold and Bitcoin. And when Diamond Standard eventually offers an ETF, diamond prices could rise 300 to 500%, just like they did with gold. The Financial Times says diamonds are worth more than silver, platinum, palladium, and rhodium combined. It's a neglected resource that investors couldn't touch, as each diamond is different. Until now. And just like Robert says, there is gold everywhere. Most people are not trained to see it. See this brilliant investment at buydiamondstandard.com. That's buydiamondstandard.com.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news, and this day is the bad news about what's going on in our school system. And I want to thank Ann Atkinson. Unfortunately, she lost her job at Barrett. They lost her funding. People got fired by these 39 professors. And Dr. Owen Anderson for having the courage to stay in that system and speak out. But the war against Marxism and fascism and Stalinism, Trotskyism goes on inside our school systems and is taught by our teachers. And so that's why this is a very important show. I'm not saying you have to believe anything we say or do. Just realize that's our experience, what happened, and it's still going on. They're still attacking. It's incredible. We really stuck them in the ribs someplace. So anyway, Sandra, you have children. What do you think?
Frankly, I'm shocked and I'm really disappointed. I mean, I sound like a true parent now. I'm really disappointed in ASU. This is not how you respond.
The Rich Dad Company was founded because of, like I said, in 1965. When I read the Communist Manifesto, I realized my family were Marxists. They're not bad people. They believe in taking money from the rich. They believe in taxation. They believe in labor unions and, things that seem innocuously true. But, the one thing that we were teaching at the T.W. Lewis Center is how we use debt for money and we pay no taxes. And my real entrepreneur friends like, Kenny McElroy was there teaching debt, and Tom Wheelwright was teaching how to not to pay taxes legally. And I think this is what drove those teachers nuts. We also had my cattle guy there talking how we invest in cattle. My oil guy on how we use real oil, not fake oil. And my gold and silver guys. So that was real financial education. And then a few months later, when we did it for the whole school on February 8th of this year, teachers erupted. So it's really quite interesting. So my idea on this is, how do you fight communism? You teach capitalism. And that's why Kim and I invented the cash flow board game. If you understand capitalism, you won't be susceptible, to people who don't know what they're talking about. Most professors, most teachers are Marxist. Not that bad people. They should, why aren't the rich paying their fair share of taxes? Well, that's what Marx said, idiot. Why don't you join a labor union? Because that's what Marx said to do. If you understand that, read the book. And once again, you can see the whole presentation at Gamage Theater. We'll put it on the site here. You can watch it. I'm standing there in my Marine Corps flight jacket, holding up the Communist Manifesto, throwing gas on the fire as I usually do. But ladies and gentlemen, if we don't fight back, who will? So thank you for listening to the Rich Dad Radio Show.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.